Jack Monroe had always dreamed of space. As a child on Earth, he would lie on his rooftop, watching stars with wide eyes and bigger hopes. Now, years later, he wasn't just watching space, he was in it. Jack was a cadet with the United Human Diplomatic Corps. He had been posted to Velshara, the homeworld of the Velari species. It was his first mission, and he was both nervous and excited. Velari were tall, elegant beings with crystal-like skin that shimmered in soft colors. They didn't smile like humans, but their eyes often sparkled when curious or happy, and no. Velari's eyes sparkled more than Laia Theroness. Laia was a science attach assigned to study human behavior. She was quiet, thoughtful, and incredibly smart. She wore long, flowing robes that changed color depending on her mood today. They were a soft lavender, which Jack had learned meant mild embarrassment. They sat together in the garden dome of the Earth Velari Cultural Exchange Center. Alien flowers glowed faintly under the artificial sun, and floating orbs of water danced in the air like bubbles. Jack bit into a fruit that tasted like a mix of mango and mint. "So," he said with a grin, "how's your human culture research going?" Laia shifted slightly, her lavender robes deepening in color. "It is going well. I have been studying many human customs." "Food, music, language?" Jack nodded. "That's great. Anything confusing so far?" Laia hesitated. Her glowing blue eyes looked down, then back up. "Yes, one thing." She reached into her datapad and tapped it. The small screen lit up with a symbol Jack recognized. "Google. I use this," she said shyly. I typed in, "How humans mate, Jack." Almost choked on his fruit, Laia looked alarmed. "Is that not a proper question?" He coughed, waving his hand. No, it's okay, just surprising. I am sorry," she said softly. "Your online system is large, full of strange images. I wanted to understand more about emotional bonding, but what I found was confusing." Jack tried not to laugh, but the look on her face was too serious. He sat up straighter, pushing his plate aside. "All right," he said, taking a deep breath. "Let's back up a little. What exactly did you find?" She turned the screen toward him. He leaned in and then leaned back very quickly. "Oh," he said, eyes wide. That's not how humans usually mate." Laia tilted her head. "So the use of whipped dairy products during bonding is not standard?" Jack turned red. "Definitely not standard." She looked thoughtful. "And the act of spooning it ... is it a combat maneuver or a resting position?" This time Jack laughed. He couldn't help it. Resting position. "It's cuddling. Kind of like hugging, but lying down?" Laia nodded, typing a note. "So no utensils are involved?" "Nope," Jack said, smiling. There was a pause. Laia looked up again, more curious now than embarrassed. "Humans touch a lot," she said. "Hand-holding, kissing, embracing. Is this all part of bonding?" "Yeah," Jack replied. "It helps us feel connected. Physical contact shows trust and affection." "Velari do not touch often," she said. "Our bonding is based on shared thoughts. Emotional frequencies. Dreams." "Dreams?" Jack asked, surprised. "Yes, when two Velari form a bond, they begin to share dreams, sometimes even thoughts. It is private, deep, beautiful." Her voice softened at the end. "That sounds amazing," Jack said honestly. She looked at him carefully. "So ... human bonding is more physical but also emotional?" "Exactly, it's a mix of both." Laia tapped her fingers on her datapad. "Would you be willing to explain more? Not just about mating, but all of it: human connection, friendship, closeness?" Jack blinked. "You want lessons?" "If you are willing," she said, her voice hopeful. He smiled. "Sure, but only if you teach me about Velari bonding too." Her robes brightened a bit, turning a soft picha, the color he'd seen when she was happy. "Agreed," she said. "It will be a mutual learning session." Jack leaned back on the bench, watching the glowing garden around them. He hadn't expected his first mission to include conversations about spooning with a crystal-skinned alien, but somehow ... It felt right ... and for the first time since arriving on Velshara, he felt less like a stranger and more like part of something bigger. Laia looked at him again, curious as ever. Also, she added, what is a first kiss? Is it a test? A challenge? Jack laughed again. We'll cover that in lesson 2. Jack Monroe was having second thoughts about agreeing to human bonding lessons with Leia Theron, not because he didn't enjoy her company. He did, more than he expected, but because Leia had taken his offer very seriously. Too seriously. It had only been 3 days since their first conversation in the garden. Now they sat together inside the Cultural Exchange Center's quiet learning room. A white table stretched between them, covered in data tablets, printed, photos, and a small bowl of colorful jelly beans. Jack brought those from Earth as a snack. Leia tapped her screen and looked up at him with curiosity. I have created a study folder titled Human Affection and Emotional Attachment, Research Materials. Phase 1, she announced. Jack blinked. Phase 1? Yes, she said proudly. I divided the research into multiple parts. First is basic physical interactions. Second is emotional language. Third is unspoken rituals like gifting chocolates or flowers during courtship. Would you like to begin with the first? Jack leaned back in his chair. Sure, why not? Let's see what you've got. Leia turned her tablet toward him. A list of search terms appeared on the screen. Jack read the first few and immediately choked on a jelly bean. Do humans really kiss with their mouths? Why do humans smell each other's hair? What is a cuddle pile and how does one survive it? Leia, Jack coughed, his eyes wide. Where are you getting this stuff? She looked confused. From Google. You told me it was a trusted human information source. Yes, but Jack tried not to laugh. You need filters. Some of those are ... not normal. Or they're jokes or both. I do not understand. She leaned forward, concerned. Is the data false? Jack took a deep breath. Not false. Just mixed. Google shows everything. Facts, opinions, jokes, even some very weird personal experiences. Leia tilted her head. I thought humans valued honesty. Why would someone post a joke about bonding? Because it's funny. Humans use humor to talk about awkward topics. She sat back, thinking. Her robes turned a curious orange with light green edges. So, when someone wrote, I met my soulmate after she tripped over my pet lizard and spilled soup on my face, that was not a true bonding ritual, Jack chuckled. Probably not. I see, she said, then paused. That is disappointing. I found that one quite touching, Jack smiled. We do have real love stories, just mixed in with a lot of nonsense. Leia looked down at her tablet. Would you help me understand which parts are true? Of course, he said. Let's go through it one by one? They spent the next hour reading through her search history. Some entries made Jack laugh, others made him blush, and a few made him explain things he never thought he'd have to say out loud. Like why people send heart emojis or what slow dancing in the rain actually means. Leia listened carefully, making notes, sometimes asking follow-up questions that made Jack laugh again. At one point, she asked, what is the meaning of puppy? Love? Is it a phase of romantic bonding involving small earth animals? Jack nearly fell off his chair. No, he said, wiping tears from his eyes. It just means a simple crush. Usually when someone is young and in love for the first time. Leia nodded seriously. I see. I will avoid searching for actual puppies next time. When they finished reviewing her search list, Leia sat quietly for a moment. Then she said softly, I hope I did not offend you. Jack blinked. Offend? Me? Why would you say that? You seemed uncomfortable. I asked about things that may be personal or strange. My curiosity might have been too much. Jack shook his head. Leia, no. I'm not upset. I think it's great that you want to understand. Honestly, it's kind of refreshing. She looked up. Refreshing? Yeah, most people are too embarrassed to ask questions like that, but you're brave enough to be curious. Her eyes glowed faintly, and her robe shifted to soft gold. Thank you, Jack. There was a short pause before she added, May I ask one more question for today? Go ahead, he said. Leia leaned slightly forward. You mentioned something called holding hands. It seems to be an important part of human bonding. What does it mean? Jack smiled, suddenly feeling a bit nervous. It's a simple gesture, but meaningful. When two people care about each other, they hold hands to show they're close. It's warm, safe, sometimes romantic. Laia looked at her own hand, long and slender with a gentle shimmer. Would it be acceptable to try it for research? Jack hesitated for a second. Then slowly he reached out, their hands touched lightly, and Laia's skin felt cool and smooth like warm glass. She looked down at their joined hands with quiet wonder. It is pleasant, she said. Yeah, Jack agreed, feeling his heart beat a little faster. It really is. Jack Monroe was not used to holding hands with aliens. He had seen all kinds of strange things. Since coming to Velshara, the glowing trees, floating water orbs, crystal bridges, and even talking plants, but nothing had felt as strange as gently holding Liatherin's hand. It wasn't bad. In fact, it was nice. Her hand was smooth and cool, almost like touching polished glass warmed by sunlight. But what made it strange was not her hand. It was the feeling in his chest, that warm, fluttery feeling. Jack, Laia said softly. He blinked, realizing they had been sitting silently for a while. Sorry, I was just, thinking. She tilted her head. Did I do something wrong? During the hand-holding process? Jack smiled. No, you did it perfectly. Laia looked down at their hands again. This simple gesture has such a strong emotional effect. Humans are very interesting. You should see us when someone smiles at us, Jack said with a grin. That can change a whole day, Laia nodded. Smiles, I'm studying those next. But they seem difficult. I do not have lips like humans. Jack laughed. That's okay, your eyes do all the work. When you're curious, they sparkle. Sparkle? She asked, surprised. Yeah, Jack said. It's like soft lights moving in your eyes. It's hard to explain, but it's nice. Laia looked thoughtful. Humans describe many feelings as nice. Is that your way of saying something is good, but you don't know how to describe it? Exactly, Jack said. Sometimes feelings are hard to explain, especially new ones. They were sitting on a bench in one of the indoor gardens. Bright blue leaves rustled in the gentle air. Tiny floating creatures, no bigger than insects, drifted by like glowing petals. Everything on Velshara was calm and peaceful, but inside Jack's chest it felt like fireworks. Can I ask you something, Jack? Laia said suddenly. Sure. I had another dream, she said, her voice quiet. And you were in it again. Jack raised his eyebrows. Me? Yes, in Velari culture, shared dreams sometimes happen between people who are emotionally in sync, but I did not mean to start one. Wait, Jack said, sitting up. Are you saying we're starting to connect, like Velari bonding? Laia looked unsure. Maybe. It is very weak right now, but it means something. That is why I wanted to try holding hands. Physical touch sometimes makes the bond clearer. Jack's brain was spinning. This was supposed to be a diplomatic mission, not a relationship. And definitely not a dream-sharing, interspecies emotional bonding experience, but when he looked at Laia's face calm, curious, hopeful, he didn't feel nervous. He felt lucky. What kind of dream was it? He asked. She smiled softly. We were walking, just walking in a quiet place. You were talking about stars, and I was listening. It was peaceful, Jack nodded slowly. That doesn't sound like a bad dream. No, she said. It was nice. He smiled. There's that word again. Laia looked at him with a curious expression. Jack, are humans always this? Open with emotions? Not always, he admitted. Some humans hide their feelings, but me, I've learned that honesty is easier. I like that, she said. Velari are often quiet. We think more than we speak. But I enjoy talking. With you? Jack looked down at their still joined hands. I enjoy talking with you too. They sat there for a while, watching the glowing garden lights flicker above them like stars. The silence was comfortable now. They didn't need to say anything. Finally, Laia stood up. I should return to my study room. I must organize my bonding. Notes. Jack stood too. Need help? Laia shook her head. No, but thank you. As she turned to leave, she paused and looked back. Jack? Yeah? Would it be acceptable if I initiated hand contact again next time? Jack smiled. Laia, any time. Her robes turned a soft peach-happy color, and she nodded once before walking away. Light footsteps fading in the distance. Jack stood there alone, feeling the echo of her touch still. In his hand, he didn't know what this meant yet, but he knew one thing for sure. This mission just got a lot more interesting. Jack Monroe had spent years studying alien languages, but nothing could prepare him. For this moment, he stood in front of a large screen in the Cultural Exchange Center. On the display was a Valari poem Laia Theron had given him to translate. She called it A Whisper Between Stars. It looked beautiful, shining silver letters. That floated slightly off the screen, but it made no sense to him. Jack sighed. Why does every word have three meanings? Laia, sitting across the room with her legs tucked under her flowing robes, tilted her head. Because Valari emotions are layered. One word must carry all the feelings behind it. Right, Jack sighed, rubbing his temples. So this line, Lure Talvin Shara, means what exactly? Laia looked thoughtful. It can mean, I wait for you through the sky, or my thoughts search for yours. Or, in deeper form, my bond follows the trail of your light. Jack stared at the screen. And all that from 3 words? Laia smiled. That is why our dreams are easier? They speak without words? He couldn't argue with that. Ever since they had started spending more time together, the dreams had become stronger. Sometimes he would wake up with images in his mind, crystal bridges, glowing lakes, the sound of Laia's voice in the wind. It felt real, too real. You're saying Valari poems are like emotional puzzles, Jack said. Yes, Laia replied. Each one is not just meant to be read, it is meant to be felt. Jack looked at the poem again. Then he looked at Laia. I think I need help feeling this one. Laia stood up and walked over. Her soft steps didn't make a sound. She stood beside him, close enough that he could see the tiny sparkles in her skin. Would you like me to show you? She asked. Show me? We can do a shared reading. I will think the meanings while you read the words. If our bond is strong enough, you will feel what I mean. Jack hesitated. What if I mess it up? She gave him a calm look. You won't. He nodded slowly. All right, let's try. Laia reached out and gently placed her fingers on the back of Jack's hand. It was a simple touch, but it sent a soft warmth through him. His heartbeat slowed and his thoughts quieted. She nodded. Begin reading. Jack looked at the screen again. He spoke slowly, softly, reading each line of the Valari poem out loud. As he spoke, something strange began to happen. He didn't just hear the words, he started to feel them. He felt the calm of a night sky, the ache of waiting, the gentle pull of a bond reaching across space. Each word added more emotion, more warmth. And somehow he knew it wasn't coming from him. It was coming from Laia. When he finished the last line, he stood silent, breathing a little deeper than before. That, he said softly, was amazing. Laia was watching him closely. Did you feel it? Yes, all of it. Then our bond is growing. Jack looked down at their hands. They weren't even holding hands now, just her fingers resting lightly against his, but it felt like more. He suddenly felt like asking her something that had been on his mind for a while. Laia, he said, what happens when 2 Valari complete a bond? Laia blinked. Complete? Yeah, when the connection is strong, when the dreams are deep. What happens next? Laia's robes turned a gentle shade of violet uncertainty. If 2 Valari complete a bond, they become emotionally linked for life. They do not need words to understand each other anymore. They share each other's thoughts, dreams, and feelings. It is ... permanent. Jack swallowed. Wow. She looked at him carefully. Are you worried? No, Jack said quickly. Just surprised. Humans don't usually bond like that. We love deeply, yes. But this feels ... stronger. It is, Laia said softly, which is why we do not take it lightly. Jack nodded slowly. Then maybe we should take it slow too. Laia's robes shifted to a soft, peaceful blue. That is what I hoped you would say. They stood in silence for a moment, letting the quiet speak for them. Then Laia asked, "Would you like to walk through the crystal gardens with me?" Jack smiled. "Only if you teach me another Valari poem?" She smiled back, eyes sparkling. "Deal." And so they walked side by side, not as a soldier and a scientist, not as human and alien, but as two beings slowly learning what it meant to connect, not through search engines, not through translation. Software, but heart to heart. The Valari sun had just dipped below the horizon, casting a golden glow across the crystal domes of the city. Jack Monroe stood on a balcony overlooking the city center, where soft lights had begun to shine from floating lanterns. It was the start of the Festival of Lights, an important celebration on Velshara. It was also Jack's first time attending one. Behind him, Laia Theron walked gracefully onto the balcony. Her ceremonial robe shimmered like the evening sky, soft silver and blue, speckled with glowing threads. "You look amazing," Jack said honestly, a little breathless. Laia tilted her head, a gentle warmth in her eyes. "Thank you. These colors represent clarity and openness." Jack straightened his collar. He was wearing a formal earth jacket, but next to Leia, he still felt underdressed. "What's the purpose of the festival again?" he asked, trying to keep his voice calm. Laia stepped beside him, looking out at the lights below. "The Festival of Lights celebrates unity when different minds and hearts come together. Valari release lanterns to carry their thoughts into the sky. It is a way of letting go of doubt and welcoming connection." "Like a wish?" Jack asked. "Yes," Laia replied. "But instead of wishing for something new, we give thanks for what we already have." Jack nodded. "I like that." Just then, a group of Valari elders walked into the center plaza below. They carried glowing crystal orbs and placed them gently into the air, where they floated up like tiny stars. "Would you like to send one?" Laia asked softly. Jack looked at her. "Can anyone do it?" "Of course," she said. "Tonight is for everyone." They walked together down to the plaza. Valari of all ages were gathered there, some in formal robes, others in simple clothes. Soft music played in the air, and glowing petals drifted down from above like snow. Laia led Jack to a lantern station. A small round table stood there with clear floating spheres. They shimmered gently, waiting to be filled with light. "You must touch it with your hand and think of what you are thankful for," Laia explained. "The orb will carry that thought as its light." Jack picked one up carefully. It felt light as air, humming gently against his palm. He closed his eyes. He thought of Earth, his family, and his mission here. But mostly he thought of Laia, of her curiosity, her calm voice, her sparkling eyes, of the hand she had held out to him in the garden, of their shared dreams, of their growing bond. When he opened his eyes again, the orb glowed with a soft golden light. "Beautiful," Laia whispered. She released her own orb too, glowing with a peaceful blue light. Together, their lights rose into the sky, joining the others. For a moment, neither of them spoke. Then Laia turned to Jack. "There is something I must tell you." Jack looked at her, serious now. "What is it?" "Our bond. It is almost complete." His heart skipped. "You're sure?" "Yes," she said. "The dreams, the shared thoughts, the feeling when we are near, it has grown stronger than I expected." Jack nodded slowly. "And what happens when it completes?" Laia looked down for a moment. "We will be forever connected. Even across space, even in silence." Jack felt the weight of those words. It wasn't like human love. This was deeper, permanent. "Is that ... he asked. Laia looked up at him, her voice gentle. "I would not have allowed it to grow this far if I did not." Jack smiled slowly. "And then I guess there's something I need to say too." He reached into his jacket pocket and pulled out a small gift, a tiny charm, shaped like a star. He had carved it himself, using a metal shard from his ship's outer panel. "Simple, but meaningful. I made this for you," he said, holding it out. Laia took it gently, her eyes wide with wonder. "It holds your energy," she whispered, "a human gift made by hand." "It is powerful. It's just a small star," Jack said. "But it reminded me of how you see things, even the smallest moments you treat like something big." She held the charm close to her heart. then I will keep it near me always. The music in the plaza shifted. A soft rhythm began, and pairs of Volari started to form gentle spirals, dancing slowly beneath the floating lights. Leia looked at Jack. There is one more tradition. Jack raised an eyebrow. Dancing? It is not just movement, she sighed. It is harmony. Would you like to try? Jack took her hand, feeling that familiar calm spread through him. Lead the way. They stepped into the center of the plaza, surrounded by glowing lights and quiet music. They moved slowly in circles, no need for words. The world felt distant. Only the connection between them remained, and as they danced beneath the rising lights, Jack knew that something had changed forever, not just between him and Leia, but between two worlds. The stars above Valshara shone brighter than ever. The festival of lights had ended, but the warmth of that night still remained. Floating lanterns had disappeared into the sky, carrying thoughts, thanks, and quiet promises, but for Jack Monroe and Leia Theron, the real light was something invisible, something. Between them dwelt the bond. They could feel it now, even in silence. When Jack walked through the garden paths, he felt a quiet presence in his mind. When Leia read her data panels in the research hall, she sometimes heard a gentle voice in her heart, his voice. It didn't speak in words. It spoke in feelings, comfort, trust, understanding. One morning, as soft green sunlight filtered into the corridor, Leia stood at the edge of the central garden, waiting. She turned when she felt a familiar presence. Jack was there, wearing his usual jacket, but he looked more relaxed now. More at peace. You felt me coming? He asked with a smile. I always do, Leia replied softly. It is part of the bond. Jack joined her beside the glowing plants. The air shimmered lightly around them. Even the birds, small-winged creatures with crystal feathers, seemed to sing more quietly, as if they too were watching. I spoke with command last night, Jack said. Leia's expression grew still. And they're recalling the team in 3 days. The cultural exchange phase is complete. Her voice dropped. You are leaving. Jack looked down, hands in his pockets. I don't want to. But they want a full report back on Earth. I have duties. Leia was quiet for a long moment. Then she said, I understand. Jack turned to her. But I also told them something else. She blinked. What? I asked to return. Not just as a visitor, but as a permanent ambassador. A bridge between Earth and Valshara. Leia's eyes widened, soft light shimmering within them. They agreed? Not yet, he said. But they're considering it, and even if they say no... He reached out and took her hand gently. I'll find my way back. The bond between them glowed stronger, like a thread of light weaving through space. I never thought I'd feel this way on another planet, Jack said. Or with someone not from my world. I never thought I'd connect with someone so different from me, Leia replied. But now I cannot imagine not knowing you. He smiled. Funny, isn't it? This all started with a strange question about human bonding. And now, she said, we share one. Jack laughed. You Googled human emotions. I lived them, and I studied them, she added. But now I feel them. They sat together beneath a glowing tree with long blue leaves, its roots humming with soft energy. For a while they said nothing. Finally, Jack reached into his pocket again and pulled out a small silver disc. This is a voice crystal, he explained. Earth tech. I recorded something for you. Leia accepted it carefully. What is it? A message for when I'm gone. Just in case... Even for a little while. She touched the crystal and it glowed, a soft recording of Jack's voice. Began to play. Hey Leia, if you're hearing this, it means I'm away, but not far. Not really. I'll be thinking of you, and I know you'll be thinking of me. That's how our bond works. So even if we're not standing side by side, we're never apart. Leia held the crystal to her chest. This is precious. Thank you. He smiled, and I have something from you too. From his bag, Jack pulled out the little charm she had given him days ago, a stone with Volari markings etched in light. It glows now, he said, because it carries part of my energy. Leia replied. It will keep you calm wherever you go. They stood together, hand in hand, as the green sun climbed higher. In 3 days, Jack would leave, but this goodbye didn't feel like the end. It felt like the beginning of something bigger between. Two people, two worlds, and two ways of life. One human. One Valari, and one bond strong enough to stretch across the stars.